Both Indigenous and non-Indigenous community members came together to honor the victims and survivors of the residential school system and also reignite calls for Ottawa to fulfill the remaining calls to action aimed at continuing the reconciliation journey. Indigenous organization NAMI Res held its third annual Day of Remembrance gathering on Monday, providing an opportunity for members of the community to share a piece of their sacred culture with all walks of life.
So this is a wonderful day to do that and hopefully walk away getting to know each other a little bit better and moving a little step forward towards reconciliation.
It was also a day to somberly reflect on painful truths that several Indigenous generations have had to bear.
Even myself, when I was growing up, I felt ashamed of who I am. So they tried to make me feel ashamed. Others at my age or younger were put into non-native homes, and a lot of bad things happened to these children when they were in these homes.
The establishing of the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation fulfills one of the 94 calls to action from the 2015 Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But those in the Indigenous community say working on the remaining recommendations seems to have slowed down. So far, between 11 and 14 have only been completed, and according to IndigenousWatchdog.org, progress on fulfilling the remaining calls have stalled in recent years.
So we still have a long ways to move forward.
And community members say some could be fulfilled almost immediately, like call to action number 78, which asks that Ottawa give $10 million to Indigenous communities for reconciliation efforts.
Underfunding for Indigenous programs is not a new story. It's something that many of our communities have lived with for a long time. It's a huge injustice.
Or the call to action, where all levels of government are asked to establish measurable goals to identify and close health gaps in the Indigenous community.
It has to be more accessible. It has to be more geared towards First Nations and First Nations people. Because when we look at a Western-based philosophy of healing, it's not our ways of doing things.
While gatherings like today's helps to bring Indigenous history and teachings to the forefront, the push is ongoing for elected officials to do more to ensure reconciliation and healing goes on.
I think that's going to make a better future for all Canadians and improve Indigenous Canadian relationships moving forward.
Now, this day is still originally and colloquially known as Orange Shirt Day. It's an initiative that began in 2013, inspired by Phyllis Webstad's story of her grandmother who gave her an orange shirt, and that orange shirt was taken away from her when she arrived at a residential school in the 70s at just the age of 6. Now, several monuments across Canada, from the Peace Tower up on Parliament Hill right down to the CN Tower right here in the city, will be lit in orange tonight in order to commemorate this day. In downtown Toronto, Afua Baah, City News.